We're getting a little bit of panic from Twitter, a little bit of dose of panic. Apparently, racismus is alive and well in the United States. The government has deployed its fascist forces in order to see if people can read or write English. And apparently, if you can't read or write in English, they will put you in handcuffs. Is this true? Well, let's hear what this gentleman, Ronnie Yates 311, is saying, and then we can comment.
Couldn't believe it. Going through Arkansas, I thought it was a joke. Got stopped at the way station in Arkansas and was handed a piece of paper, and it says, "Can you read and write English?" I said, "Yes, sir, I sure can." He goes, "Can you read this?" So I read it to myself, and I was like, okay. I started handing it back. He goes, no, read it out loud for me. So I read it out loud for him, and, it's short and sweet, no problem. He goes, "Now, can you write this for me on this paper?" And I did, and there was a whole bunch of people that had already written on it. And I was actually witnessing people in handcuffs that had been pulled in. And I was like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Oh, we've come across now that if you cannot read or write in English, that it's a $5,000 fine. And if you have a company in Arkansas that employs people that can't read or write in English, it's a $10,000 fine paid on the spot. If you cannot pay it, you're automatically arrested and lose your license." What a shocker.
Now, I don't know the political leanings of the trucker. I don't know his TikTok channel. I'm not aware of what he thinks about this law, except the fact that it's a shocker. But what I do know is the way people have responded and engaged with the video. And it seems that the consensus, as I mentioned before, this is fascismus. Like, America is delving into the depths of human dark past. Hitler is in office. They're going to good step on the streets. Democracy is ended. What is going on? Well, apparently what is going on is that they're enforcing the law. And as you can see here, this law exists since 2001. Like, this is not a new thing. But apparently, like, the way culture works in America is if you have a period of lawlessness where the law isn't enforced, when the law comes back, everyone thinks it's tyrannical. Like, if you thought that this law is tyrannical, why didn't you say anything in 2001? Where were the massive protests? Why weren't people freaking out that it's fascismus or anything like that? Nothing, right? And so what exactly is the law trying to accomplish? Does it just want to fuck with people for no reason? There are laws like that. The environmentalist laws, for instance, right? They just want to fuck with people in order to get more cash to the budget. This is not one of those laws. As you can see, a person shall not drive a commercial motor vehicle unless he or she is qualified to drive a commercial motor vehicle. Except as provided in blah blah blah, a motor carrier should not require or permit a person to drive a commercial motor vehicle unless that person is qualified to drive that blah blah. Okay, so like, what does it mean for a person to be qualified? Well, the number one says that it has to be at least 21 years old, and this is the number two. Can read and speak the English language sufficiently to converse with the general public, to understand highway traffic signs and signals in the English language, to respond to official inquiries, and to make entries on reports and records. So, in other words, in order to be licensed to drive in the state of Arkansas, according to this federal regulation, you need to be able to read and speak English. And this is from 2001. Like, it exists. And it's not designed to fuck with the foreigners. No, like, the legislator was kind enough to even articulate the reasoning on why they passed it. Is so that the person can understand the highway traffic signs and signals in the English language, to respond to official inquiries, and to make entries on the reports and records. Now, let me tell you why this is funny, right? Everyone is freaking out, and almost university people freaking out are leftists. But I guarantee to you, if they were to catch Donald Trump or, Steve Bannon or Elon Musk or anyone that they don't like on a similar technicality, they wouldn't be so lenient. They wouldn't be like, oh, no, they'll be like, the law is the law. Because this is the mentality of a lot of people, right? Like, for my friends, everything. For my enemies, the law. Now, I tried to find out if this only applies for driving licenses obtained in the US. So, like, besides the fact that you've obtained your driving license in the US, you also need to know the English language. Compared to people who obtained their driving licenses in Zimbabwe. Like a person who is from Zimbabwe and he travels to Canada, rents a car, and wants to go from Canada to Mexico by car, because that's what he wants to do, right? He's going to use the driving license from Zimbabwe. Does he need to know English? I don't know, because, like, again, the law may be different. Like, for instance, in my country, it is. The law may be different for, like, if you get your driving license within the state and you're driving in that state, versus if you're getting your driver's license from a foreign country and you're just in transit. It's to simplify things, right? Like, it makes sense. Imagine if everyone in the European Union would need to get, like, a German driving license, a French driving license, right? Like, internationally speaking, it would cause chaos. And so, like, usually countries try to accommodate. It's like, okay, he got his driving license from someone else. Now he's driving here. I don't know the law in America regarding this. I don't know how they fix it. But what I do know is that if you have an American driving license, you need to speak English. My country has something similar. Like, first of all, it has a driving test, which I don't think you can pass if you don't speak Romanian. Because you got to talk to the driving instructor, you got to listen to the commands from the driving examiner, which in my country is associated with the cops. And so, like, if you don't speak Romanian, you can't pass. Like, there's no way to pass. Now, besides that, we also have, like, a medical exam. And on top of that, if you have color blindness, you can never drive. I find that to be absolutely stupid. The idea is, well, if you can't differentiate the color red from green, how can you see a street light? Well, the color red is always on top, the color green is always on the bottom. Fuck are you talking about? But again, the law is the law. Like, people have decided that if you can't see the difference in colors, you cannot drive. And so, is my state descending into fascism? Do we have boots on the ground? Is a dictatorship coming because people that have blind sight cannot drive? No. And in the United States, it's the same thing. It's like, well, if you're a company, why are you hiring people that can't speak English? This is also something that really pisses me off. We don't live in the 40s anymore, where learning another language is time-consuming, it's difficult, like you gotta go to a specific school, and it's very expensive to learn another language. No, you got the internet. I speak English. Most Europeans speak 3 languages. I speak English since I was 9. If I can speak English since I was 9, what the fuck is other people's excuse not to? How can you even live in another nation without speaking the language? Like, what if you need help? How do you do it then? It's such a cope from the left that just want to control people, right? Because they don't want to learn the language in order not to be able to learn their rights. Because I have seen so many abuses done to foreigners around the world simply because they cannot speak the language of their nation state. And it is in the interest of the elites and the rich to keep those people dumb so they don't learn. I mean, America does have a history with that, right? Like, you didn't want slaves to know how to read and write. Same shit. There is no reason why people shouldn't learn basic English if you go into a English-speaking country to live there. Like, if you're a tourist, that's a one thing, If you're just visiting for a couple of days, that's another. But if you're actually working in another country, learn the fucking language, at least the very basics, to the point where you can read and write a little bit. Like, I don't speak German perfectly, but I can read and write in German. I can do the same in Spanish. Like, come on. There's no excuse, right? Especially when the fine is $5,000. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.